All right. Happy Monday. It is Monday. What is it? It's still
March 26th.
March 26th. Today we are joined by the big man, the founder and CEO of Bunker Labs, Todd Connor. It's been, we've been doing this experiment now for, it's been almost a year. This is our 31st episode, so with some holidays here and there, it's been a long journey. So thought we'd get Todd back in the mix, get some thoughts and insights on what's going on at Bunker Labs these days.
It's good to be back.
It's good to have you back. Seriously,
Back on the show. It's hard to believe we've done 31.
I know.
Episodes, yeah.
It's amazing. So stay tuned. We have some great conversation coming up today on the breakdown. All right, cool. So, Todd, it's been 31 weeks. I don't know how many of these, you've probably watched them all religiously. Thank you. What are you thinking? I want to take this as a moment to say, we want to take ideas. We want other people to step up and say, maybe do this, maybe be more topical, more newsworthy. And I think that we got a way to go, but I don't know. How are you feeling about this whole breakdown?
I'm feeling good. I would be curious on people's feedback. So we, launched the breakdown, 31 weeks ago, really with the intent to talk more directly to the veteran entrepreneur community and make sure that we had a channel that was open and just kind of to be experimental, frankly. I think a big part of what we're thinking about as an organization is you can't serve veterans if you can't reach them. And I think most VSOs, veteran organizations, are trying to go through TAP program and things like that, which is fine. But we also, I think it's important that we try to go directly to consumer.
Right.
So I think that's what the breakdown has been. And I think you've done a great job being the face of the breakdown. I was traveling to an event in DC, and Will's like a celebrity because everyone's like, I've seen you on Facebook. So I appreciate you, being a celebrity on Facebook. But I think the future for us is also a lot more of how do we get out there through partners? There's so many rich channels, and we've talked to these guys, like the Chive and Black Rifle Coffee and Grunt Style and all of these other kind of really strong veteran brands that are talking to veterans and have, a lot of, followers and people that they're engaging with. So I think that we want to do more to continue to go out there. But I think the breakdown is a great place to be experimental. I think it's important to say to entrepreneurs that you've got to experiment. You've got to run experiments, to try to get your word out there as an organization. And I think that's what the breakdown's been.
Absolutely.
Under your leadership.
Well, I appreciate that, Todd. And so you mentioned Facebook, which is what we're hosted on right now. Love Facebook, everything about their live streaming. So in the news right now, Facebook is in a bit of a pickle. They, through third-party apps, they were allowing on their platform 50 million people's data was stolen. And, as a startup, you probably won't have a problem like that for many years. But from a leadership standpoint, I thought it was interesting. Mark Zuckerberg took out a full-page ad in the Wall Street Journal, New York Times, Washington Post, and it said, here's what happened. It's 3 sentences. Here's what happened. I'll do better, basically, signed Mark Zuckerberg. What do you do when you face your big hurdle? That's a big hurdle to come from 50 million people. But what do you do as a leader when something goes wrong?
Well, I think I haven't seen that, but I think that I admire that. I think transparency is a big part of how you restore credibility. What I will say is this: I think we're entering into an era in which trust and credibility is going to be more important than ever before. And so I think for veterans, that's an asset, is that if you can lead with trust, I think it's hugely important. And I think if you can lead with transparency, which is we're not hiding anything because it's all we're operating with integrity. And it's not that it's all perfect, but I think that's a philosophy that that good leaders are that will be the currency, I think increasingly the currency of strong leaders, particularly in the startup economy, that you can trust that we're going to do the right thing. And I think when companies do that, there's going to be real monetary reward for that, and conversely, if they're not doing that, then there's going to be real, I think, monetary consequences, marketplace consequences for not operating with integrity, not operating with transparency, data security. And I think we've seen some very, kind of famous examples of that. I don't know, but so And in the nonprofit space too. I mean, if you're starting a nonprofit, I think just operating with transparency, with integrity, is just like, those are the fundamentals. And I think we've always believed that as veterans, that like that matters. And I think that's bleeding into the marketplace, where it's really important that you are an honorable company, and that's why people are going to make consumer choices between companies. And I think we've seen that with consumer activism, which is really interesting, that people are leaving a platform and choosing another platform. I have left and chosen different platforms this past year because of how those organizations engage or don't engage in political activism or in, respecting their customer interests. So I think, that for a startup is something that probably matters more than it's ever mattered before.
Right.
What do you think?
I don't know how I'd handle the situation. I don't know. I think to your point, things like Cast or Masters, becoming like a B Corp, for example, like things like showing that you have some sort of global or social impact. I think that is increasingly more popular and powerful. Yeah. You need to take stances in certain directions. So
I agree, and I also think it's kind of hard. It's not easy to figure out how to do this right. So I think having values that matter, that are lived throughout the organization, is not something that you can fake. So I was back in my professional life before Bunker and other things. I was consulting with a company, and their employee engagement scores were weak. And they were, we were talking about how do you improve? The conversation was, how do you improve employee engagement scores? And my answer was sort of, ironic, but not ironic, which is improve employee engagement. Right. How do we become known as a better place for women to work? I'm like, be a better place for women to work, and you will then be known as a place that is better for women to work. And I think you can't overlook just that. What's the reality? Forget the messaging. And I think that's kind of where everyone goes. It's how do we message this? Well, what's the reality? And then you don't have to worry about messaging. Right. Create the reality. So are you a values-driven organization? Great, you'll be known as that. Are you an organization that values women in the workplace? Great, you'll be known as that. And so I think that's important. Somebody was asking, I think on Facebook, what are some ways that a company can demonstrate transparency? Publishing your budget, publishing your annual report. I try to, for the Bunker, and we're a not-for-profit, so you've got donors, and I think that requires a special level of consideration, because those are charitable investments that people are making. But how's it going? And you can tell a company that's being honest because they tell you what's not working. Right. So it's like a politician. A politician that you always agree with is a politician that's lying to you, or is not making difficult choices. So I think I respect when companies come and say, here's where we screwed up, because it's actually, now I know that you're being honest with me. It's a company that doesn't tell you that then you question, are you being honest? Are you being transparent?
That's a good answer. Well, that's a good answer to whoever asked that question on Facebook.
It's an answer or not. It's an idea.
So on the Bunker front, I don't want to go too deep into the story and how this all came about, but I'd say that one thing that's been very consistent and true is the messaging behind everything that goes on here on a daily basis. And this has been it's an incredible community that has taken years to cultivate and build. And what are let's talk outcomes. Through going through these programs, veteran just gets out of the military. Shout out Jack Crane, a couple more years. But my little brother. Get out of the military. What can you expect? Why was this built the way it was? What are the outcomes here?
Well, first of all, I hope if you're watching, our target customer is somebody who's got 6 months left on active duty. So if you're watching this and you have 6 months left on active duty, you are who we're trying to reach. And that's actually and by the way, if you're watching this and you know somebody that is within a year of separation from the military, my ask is to tag them and ask them to watch this video. Okay. So now if you're that person, what I would say to you is we want you to start thinking about starting a business while you're on active duty. We want you to go through the Launch Lab online program, which is a way to get with other people, battle buddies that also want to start a business, and figure out whether or not you have some merit. I know when I was in San Diego in the Navy, I wanted to open, don't laugh, I wanted to open a coffee shop in PB. I think every naval officer getting out of the Navy who's been stationed in San Diego wants to open a coffee shop, or actually a bar.
Isn't that the number one thing It's like t-shirt companies and
T-shirt company, coffee company, and then a bar.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I actually wanted to open a bar, and then I was like, maybe a coffee shop is less risky in San Diego, in Pacific Beach. And I think that's what like every naval officer getting out of the Navy who is stationed in San Diego wants to do. Anyway, so you go from that to like, this is my idea, but that ambition is there. Maybe it's not the right idea, but the ambition is there, and it's going to stay with you. It's going to, I'm telling you, it's like it'll stick with you. If you're wired like that, and not everybody is, but 25% of veterans are.
Yeah.
You're wired to like want to start something, like have an idea, you are interested in innovation. That's going to hang with you. So we want to create like this long pathway to starting your own business where you can start while you're on active duty, explore the idea, and then get smart, realize you don't know a lot of things, which is normal. That's part of the deal. And then you figure out, here's what I do know, here's what I'm good at. Here's what I need to learn. You go learn it, and then you go start. And that might be like after you get out of the military, after you get your first job, once you go back to school. It might take you a few kind of career moves, but then eventually you come back to the idea of starting your own business. And we want to, Bunker Labs is built to support you through that. So online programs, we have chapters in 21 different cities. We're launching Houston next week, or in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And our goal is to be in all 50 states. And so, that's the mission, is to help veterans start businesses. Our number one organizational value, which but I'll share with everybody else, is that we only do things for veterans that we would be excited to do ourselves. And I think that value has to drive everything. So if you're watching this right now being like, this is boring, then we've failed. You have to want to watch it.
Let us know. Always let us know.
It's like the content's got to be interesting. The articles have to be like exciting. Like you have to want to watch the TED Talks. You should want to share it. You should want to do Launch Lab online. You should want to come to Bunker Brews, which is our monthly happy hour. And you should want to be in CEO Circle. You should be excited about going. If it feels painful, then like we're not doing our job. If it feels irrelevant, we're not doing our job. So it's got to feel relevant. It's got to feel exciting. That's our number one organizational value. And every time we live that value, we're helping veterans. Every time we don't live that value, we're not helping veterans.
Well put. What is like on the surface? Like we're here every day, trying to create programs and online platforms and things that reach these audiences to get the conversation going. Where do you see this moving? Like, what do you see that getting veterans to come and start businesses? What does that do? What is the outcome of that?
Yeah. What is the outcome? Well, I think veterans starting businesses are, so 25% of veterans want to start a business. Post 9/11 is what the data says. We say this all the time, but 49% of veterans after World War II started their own business. So the legacy of entrepreneurship's there. Very strong after World War II. They came back and they started companies like Comcast, other cool companies that today are like the Fortune 100. So that was very much built on, I think, the World War II legacy of veterans. This generation, 25% want to, only 3.5% will start a business. So the numbers are really low. So that's the goal. Is like, how do you get 3.5% of veterans to start a business, move up to like 10% of veterans to start a business? If we do that, veterans are 30% more likely to hire other veterans, more likely to run for office, more likely to give money to charitable causes, more likely to be leaders in the community. So to me, if you help a veteran start a business or spouse, we always mean, if we say veteran, we mean spouse or even the broader community, then you're going to have a bigger impact on those people. My personal mission is just, I want to see more people fulfilled. I think the most depressing thing is thinking that if you got out of the military, that your most exciting days were behind you. And I think for me, personally, just speaking for me, is that, nothing was exciting for me like starting a business since I'd been in the military. Being in the Navy was exciting. But then like taking a 9-to-5 job was good, it was stable, but how do you actually turn that into something that is like thrilling? And for me, starting a business is thrilling.
Right.
So if you're out there feeling like I'm not living my highest and best purpose, then like I want you to start a business if that's what you think it is for you. So as an organization, we measure success two ways. One is in terms of the business outcomes. Last year, we helped companies generate $67 million in revenue. We helped them hire 1,200 new employees. 30% of whom are veteran, other things that were good. And then we measure personal outcomes. Are you happier? Are you more connected? Do you feel like you're living your full ambition? And I think both those things matter as an organization. In the future, since we just passed our board last month, just passed our 3-year strategy, our strategy is to be in all 50 states. Our strategy is to have chapters in like 100 cities in the next, probably 5 years, and to leverage volunteer leaders to create communities in all markets where we think that there's critical mass to exist. And that's going to be, success for us is to pull that off. And really, it's going to be about, there's great programs in most cities to support entrepreneurs. We don't need to create it all ourselves, but we do need to create the front door so that a veteran can show up to Bunker Brews and we can introduce them to 10,000 small businesses, the FinTech Accelerator at JP Morgan Chase, the Media Accelerator at Comcast, the VBOC, the small business loan that they didn't know about. So we know all that stuff as an organization. So if you just come to us, we want to say like, oh, here's all the stuff. Like we don't need to create it all ourselves, but we have to point you to it. Sorry for the long-winded answer.
No, it's great. I mean, it's like so hard to get. I think it's important. It's like impossible to get this stuff out.
Well, sometimes you just gotta say it to people.
What's like? Let's see how we're doing on time. Okay, cool. Last 2 bits. We have questions. Rod Rodriguez. How do you find genuine VSOs from scams? How do you find the genuine veteran service organizations and the entrepreneurship service organizations from scams? So I don't know how he's defining scams, but I will tell you this. If you want to know, and this is true of businesses. So how do you find a great small business? Because somebody besides the owner of the small business tells you it's great. Mm-hmm. So for example, don't think that Bunker Labs is a great organization because Todd said or Will said, like, of course we're going to say it's great because we're like a part of it. The real question is ask veterans who are starting a business, has this thing been helpful for you? Mm-hmm. And it's amazing. And if you're starting a small business, I want to talk to your clients. Like, the measure of whether or not you're a great entrepreneurship organization or a great business is not based on what the people that work there say about it. It's based on the people that are served by that. Right. So it's the clients. So in our case, it's veterans that are trying to start businesses. And I take that very seriously, very personally. So if a veteran's like, hey, I went to a chapter and I had a bad experience, then that matters because that's actually all that matters. And conversely, more often than not, we're hearing about how they're having phenomenal experiences. Right.
But the organizations don't get to judge who's good. It's the people that they serve that get to judge who's good. And if it's a not-for-profit, that includes the donors. So if the donors think it's working, then it's working. If the people that they're helping say it's working, but if the only positive reviews are from the organization itself, then that's not sufficient to determine success.
Right.
In my world.
Cool. Well, I want to be, respectful of your time here, Todd. And I got places to be. Last, like whether it be a word of wisdom or like a cool story or something you've seen over the last. It's been almost 4 years, I guess, since it started in June. So, what is like a big takeaway? Or like, is there like an example of something that I don't know? You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh man, and we're gonna do hacks.
We're gonna do hacks.
We're gonna do hacks.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna do a hack. I mean, I think what I've been renewed by, because I'm learning too. Like I don't know. I mean, I think we are just here together, trying to like learn together and be smart. And so, what I've observed is that the fundamentals in business are just so. There's the basics. So it's like if you work hard, like I was here this morning at 7:30 a.m. There's 2 people here in 1870. Like I'm here every morning, and not to be like it's about me, but I'm here every Monday morning at 7:30 a.m. And like I just don't know how else to do it.
Right.
But if you're up and at it by 6 a.m., like that is part of success. Like it's like 12-hour days, not 4-hour days. Is part of it. So that matters. Like working hard matters. Being nice matters, and being self-aware matters. Mm-hmm. I've seen companies that are pitching marketing services and their PowerPoints look like garbage. Mm-hmm. Well, how can you be a marketing company if your marketing is bad? Mm-hmm. So it's just kind of like the basics of does it actually work? Have people told you that it's valuable besides you? Are you willing to put in the hours? And really, it comes down to self-awareness. If you can be the kind of leader that says, "I want to know that this idea is dumb," mm-hmm. or you're the type of leader that doesn't want to hear the feedback.
Yeah.
And if you're the type of leader that wants to hear it's not working, then you can get better. If you're the kind of leader that isn't asking for other people's opinion or doesn't want to hear it, then you're not going to get better. Mm-hmm. So to me, and I think this is again why the veteran community is poised to win in the market, because I think we fundamentally are willing to work hard and are willing to get and ask for feedback and get better as a result. And I think those things, the rest is negotiable. Like, is it a good business idea? I don't really care, because the right business idea executed by the wrong person is not going to get anywhere. The wrong business idea executed by the right person will probably turn into a good idea. Mm-hmm. So it really, for me, boils down to just like personal capacity. And I've seen so many people that are just good leaders, and they figure out how to make it happen. I think that's what most people watching are people like Johnny Corson. Thanks, Johnny. That are willing to just do the work and put in the time, and like there's success on the other side of it for sure.
Awesome. It's like a hack and a life lesson and everything combined into one. My hack is called I Love PDF. It's it's not as life-changing as that statement, but it allows
I use that.
you to,
is that tiny scanner? That's like, different.
No, it's different.
Okay.
It's like use it. So like, you know how when we send PowerPoints, you're always like, can you please make them smaller? I Love PDF is what makes them smaller.
From like a file size is
exactly.
smaller? Okay.
You can, it makes them smaller. Split them, merge them, compress,
convert a Word document into a PDF and a PDF into a Word.
Yeah, you can like flip them between like PDFs.
PowerPoint into PDF. What's the maximum respectable size of a PowerPoint that you should send to anybody? Because some files come in that are 2 meg. 2 meg.
Yeah, but you shouldn't be sending PowerPoints.
You should never send something that's bigger than 2 meg, and you shouldn't send PowerPoint. You should scan it. You should turn it into a PDF.
Right.
Important hack.
Important hack.
That's like small, but it actually matters.
I mean,
like,
sending somebody like a 15,000 kilobyte or whatever, like.
I don't think it would work.
People delete anything.
Yeah, you go to your Google Drive right away or whatever.
Yeah, most corporate servers won't receive anything that's more than 10 megs.
10.
Right? So so that's a good pro tip. So if you have a lot of photos, you got to reduce it down.
Yep.
2 megs.
Cool. Well, Todd.
Can I give you my hack?
Yes.
Okay.
I thought that was your hack. All right.
Well, no, mine was like, inspiration about working hard. But my hack is the book Traction and the Entrepreneur Operating System, which is a framework for how to effectively operate a business. So the book is called Traction by the book, and then the system that it teaches is called the Entrepreneur Operating System. We're implementing it here at the Bunker, and it's fascinating. It's basically 6 dimensions that are a complete way to evaluate and monitor your business. So what are the right processes? Do you have the right people? The vision. What is the vision, which is important? So it's all those things, but it's essentially a way of distilling your business down into like a checklist format to know whether or not you're like measuring the right things and getting the right outcomes. And I think we're just beginning to implement it here at the Bunker, so we'll keep you posted on how it's going, if it's working. But I think I'm excited for it.
Cool. Yeah. Seems like you have been the last couple of weeks. So I'm excited to hear your full feedback.
We're gonna do this together, buddy.
Yeah. So if I'm not on the breakdown next week, the book Traction is the reason why. So just job security. I don't know, but. All right, cool. That is great. Thank you, Todd. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you, Will.
Appreciate it.
Shout out to all the veterans out there and our active duty out there, and Jack Crane. Special shout out to Jack.
Yeah.
Where is he right now?
Jack is at Camp Casey on the DMZ.
Is he?
Yeah, he's in South Korea.
Okay.
We'll see.
We'll be ready for him when he comes home.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. Well, thank you very much. I don't know what camera I'm looking at. Camera 2. We will see you next week. Thank you very much. Have a great afternoon.
Great job.
Great job.